Hey guys, October is here, which means another reading vlog. So I am definitely going to miss September to some extent because I really love the sort of concept of rolling as I go for book couple-a-thons. So I really liked, having a game decide my reading throughout the month. So I think I'll definitely be bringing that back in later months. But for the month of October, I'm not going to be doing that. In the month of October, we just have a fixed TBR. Now, the month of October immediately starts with a weekend, which I'm so grateful for. Like, this is my first week back after my holidays, and that's always a struggle. So I have been struggling a bit with it this week as well. From next week onwards, I'm going to go back to the office a little bit more. So I'm going to go like once a week, for example. So not a whole lot more, but I haven't been going into the office except for very occasionally in the past year and a half. So it'll be a nice change to go back there from time to time and to physically see some of my work colleagues again. And so I'll also have the time on the commute to listen to audiobooks, for example, or to read a physical book. But so at the moment, I am reading a few books, but I'm mainly actively reading The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie at the moment. And I'm also reading The State of Fear by Michael Crichton. So these are two books that I'm most actively reading. And, I'm hopefully going to be able to finish The Blade Itself this weekend. That's kind of my goal. But I'm also going to be filming a lot. I really loved, the fact that I had pre-filmed so much before my holidays and the liberty of, not stressing about it for 2 weeks, I guess. And so now I kind of want to make another attempt at being able to pre-film stuff, pre-edit stuff. I'm not doing a great job because my video for today already needs to be edited today again because I tried to edit it yesterday, but I was kind of unsuccessful at that because of technical problems. But so today I'm going to be editing that video that needs to go up that day, and then tomorrow I'm going to be pre-filming like 5 videos, 6 videos maybe even, and then already editing one for Sunday, and then hopefully throughout the first week, full week of October, I can just like pre-edit a lot of stuff so that I have some videos pre-scheduled and that I have more of a freedom with what I'm going to be filming and editing after that, where I don't always have to like be in that state of mind of, I need to edit it now because it needs to go up tomorrow, for example. So I want to try it again to get that sorted, but I am not really great when it comes to executive stuff like that. I think I do have some executive dysfunction. So yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. But so weekend is going to be mainly focused on that. I'm also going to go and have lunch with my family because my sister's birthday was this week, my father's birthday was the week before that, and we are going for fondue. So I'm really looking forward to that as well because that's always just so amazing. Hey guys, I pre-filmed 2 videos already today. I need to pre-film 2 more, but I'm gonna go to the shop today because I need to buy some cat food because these lovely cats also need some food, of course. And then I need to film those 2 other videos still and edit a video, and then I can finally get around to reading. My goal was to finish The Blade Itself by tomorrow, but like by the ending of tomorrow. I'm not entirely sure whether that's gonna be feasible or not, but in any case, I'll at least make an attempt at it. I had quite a late start today because I didn't turn on my alarm clock. I forgot that I turned it off last weekend, and so it didn't go off, and so I slept for like 9 hours. But I won't feel too guilty about that. If I slept for 9 hours without, like I don't remember waking up a lot of times and like thinking, I still have time because my alarm clock hasn't gone off. So that means that I probably slept like the full 9 hours, so I guess I needed it. It is 5 o'clock. I filmed 3 videos. I went to the store to get cat food, and now I should in principle film a 4th one, but I think I'm gonna call it quits for today. The light has gone like very dark, and my light on top of my camera is currently charging because I Like, I used a full charge to film those 3 videos, and I actually already lost the light in the final one. And I don't even want to know how long it took me to film that final one and how long it's gonna end up being, because it really shouldn't be that long, but okay. So I think I'm gonna use this final hour before dinner time to edit my September wrap up, and so I'll move the filming of that final video either to tomorrow or to like next week. You know, it is a video that's only going up in like 3 weeks or so, so I do definitely have the possibility to delay its filming. It's just that I wanted to get a head start on it, you know, but you know, if I do it next weekend, that's also still way ahead of time. Hey guys, yeah, there's a cat in between this shot as well. So, it is Sunday evening. I basically did almost no vlogging this weekend, I feel like, though I did give you an update yesterday, right? So, I am currently reading The Blade itself, according to my sort of like ideal schedule for finishing books in the month of October, which is like, I normally never do this, but I'm stressing a little bit about my Zero TBR project, so I kind of wanted to see like, okay, what could I finish in October and what could I potentially add to it? So I kind of made like an ideal schedule. And according to that, I should finish The Blade itself tonight. But I was under halfway through this morning, and I am not even 2/3 of the way in right now. So probably not gonna happen. But so let me talk a little bit about The Blade itself. So have it here. Come on. Yeah, and then she jumps off. So, The Blade itself is the first book in the First Law trilogy by Joe Abercrombie, and it is grimdark fantasy. A lot of people describe it as being basically like super character focused, and like there's barely any plot in the first one. And I don't really know the full focus of the plot, I guess, but so we are following 3 characters mainly. And so these 3 characters are, first off, a noble man who is, you know, a soldier in the empire. He is basically getting by doing the bare minimum, but he wants to train to become a sort of champion in a fight because, you know, his father really wants him to do that. However, he's quite struggling with the dedication that is needed for achieving that goal and, you know, his lack of motivation when it comes to that. Then we have Glokta, who is an inquisitor who is basically struggling with the limitations of his own body after he returned back from the war broken. And then we have Logan, who is a soldier, not even sure he's a soldier. He's basically this brute from the north who is trying to get by in a tough situation where it seems like everybody he stumbles across is trying to kill him. I very much like Logan and Glokta's perspectives, and at the very begin, and for a big part of the book, I really struggled with Jessica, which is the nobleman's perspective, because he is very much an entitled asshole, basically. And so at this point in time, I've gotten to like him a little bit more because of some changes to his character. However, he's still very much betraying that he is a prejudiced asshole who believes that because of his noble blood, he is better than the people around him. So I do still find him very irritating. However, there is, of course, always the promise that he might change over time. So in terms of a storyline, it's a little bit difficult to give you one because we have these 3 very different stories. However, they definitely do interact from time to time. The Logan storyline is the one that takes the longest to interact with the other storylines, but at this point in time, we are also getting there. So in terms of its overall scope, I'm not entirely sure yet what's like would be description of what this story is actually about. Other cat is now mingling into this conversation as well. But I am definitely enjoying it a lot. As I said, in the beginning I was kind of struggling a little bit, mainly because of that perspective that I didn't really like all that much. But at this point I like all perspectives, and so yeah, I'm flying through it a lot quicker at this point in time. So yeah, let me just continue on reading now. So guys, yesterday I went for cheese fondue with my family, and today my stomach is just a total pain. Now, there are two possibilities. One, time of the month, and then I often have it that I get, I have to like burp a lot more and things like that. So that is a possibility. On the other hand, I don't think it is my time of the month. And the second one is that I might be cheese intolerant or like lactose intolerant more specifically. And that would actually make some sense because I do also never eat yogurt because I once ate yogurt like every day for a week and then I couldn't stop coughing for like the extra week. So I never had yogurt again because I was like, yeah, I need to cough because of it. And sometimes when I eat ice cream, I also need to cough. So there it makes some sense, but I love cheese. It's like also one of my biggest sources of protein still now that I'm a vegetarian. But so I still have way too much cheese in my fridge to be able to experiment with it now, but I think I am gonna do it once that cheese is gone. And of course, I'm not gonna massively eat cheese now because, trust me, the way I've been feeling today, I don't want to feel anytime soon anymore because I've really been super crap. And like, aside from the fact that I have to like burp every 5 seconds or something like that, I also have had the hiccups like 3 times today. So yeah, at this point in time, I'm not taking any action yet, but I will make sure not to buy anything new that is like milk or cheese products. And then we'll try the vegan alternatives for that to figure out whether I am lactose intolerant. I could, of course, like get it tested, but I don't want to go to the doctor. So we'll have to see. Another sofa update. I think I only update you guys on this sofa, so I think these vlog clips are always like the same location 90% of the time, but okay. So I finished the blade itself today, so I really loved it. It's like, it didn't blow me away. I was expecting to be like, why is this hair standing in this like really weird, awkward angle? Let's just accept it, I guess. So it didn't blow me away. I was expecting for me to be like absolutely blown away by it, for me to absolutely love it, because people kept saying just like how character focused this book is. And so I was latching onto that because, I'm a character focused reader. The things that I latch on the most are the character development and or sort of like inner monologues, inner exploration of a character's motivations, a character's thoughts, character's feelings, the dynamics between characters. Those are the things that I really latch onto. And so I was kind of expecting for my socks to be blown off, basically, when it came to that. And yes, the book is all of those things. It is very much character focused. It very much dives into all of those things, but not to an extent that I found to be like, oh, wow, this is the greatest character study that I've ever read. And that clearly indicates that just like I'd build it up too much in my mind. I'd set too high expectations for my future enjoyment of this book so that it would never really live up to it. On the other hand, it was also totally not a disappointment. I just really enjoyed it, was really intrigued by it, but it wasn't the type of book where I was like pushed forward into it in order to finish it as quickly as possible to know what was going on, because it was quite unclear which direction the story was taking or, what the focus of the story was or anything like that. It wasn't a disappointment, but it's just that I built up higher expectations for it than what it was able to accomplish. And so as a result, I for some reason feel like I cannot gush about it the way that I thought I was gonna do, because it didn't live up to the way high level that I built up for it in my mind. But luckily it also, like, from time to time I build up these high expectations, and then as a result I dislike the book, or I'm disappointed with the book because it cannot reach those. And that didn't end up happening with this book, despite the fact that I had built up expectations that it couldn't live up to. I still very much enjoyed this read, and I still definitely want to continue on with it. But so yeah, moving on to my next read, and my next read is going to be very different because I'm now going to be picking up Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. So I want to get this book done before the end of the week. Ideally, I will also get The Emperor's Soul by Brandon Sanderson done before the end of the week. I was hoping to already start it yesterday, but that isn't happening. So I have lost some time with it, but I'm hoping to fly through it. But that's that sounds so stupid of me. That's this is why I cannot plan. I struggled with this book the 2 previous times that I've tried to read it, and now I'm like, yeah, just fly through it, I'll give you less than a week to finish it, even though you've already tried to read it twice and failed, so wish me luck. Alright, I received my first HelloFresh box, so I'm gonna be cooking that up today. Normally I was gonna have sprints tonight with Sasha on her Patreon, but so she found out that it was Rose's birthday, and so we are moving it to tomorrow, which means that I don't get to have my lazy evening tonight, but I need to get started on HelloFresh. So I need to last minute decide what I'm gonna get. So I had a fusion salad with veggie beef, basically, a wrap with halloumi. And then I have crispy cauliflower and cucumber. For some reason, all 3 of these recipes turn out to have cucumber. I don't actually like cucumber. I don't hate cucumber, but I think it's such a bland vegetable. Basically, it's basically just freshness, I guess. So I don't know yet what I'm gonna get. I kind of want the cauliflower, but I think it's more work. So I'll just like the typical lazy person that I am, maybe I'll just get inspired by the amount of time that it takes to prepare these things. Hey guys, so I am currently sprinting on Sasha's Patreon. So I basically have been reading Wuthering Heights for the past few days. I think I am just over halfway through, but it is really depressing. I'll update you guys on it later. But so it is very depressing. What I thought the story was about has already happened, so I don't know what we're gonna have for the second half. But because it was so depressing, I decided to change books, and I just dropped the cover for my book to show you guys. But so I changed books, and so now I'm reading The Cat Who Saved Books, so I'll just insert it here instead of showing it. That will actually be more aesthetically pleasing, I'm guessing. But so I'm reading Cat Who Saved Books by Suzuki Natsukawa. Bear in mind, I don't have the physical copy here now anymore to check. Yes, I do. I can just check it here. By Suzuki Natsukawa. I think I said it correctly. But so this is a book about books. It is a book featuring talking cats, and it's basically a story of this boy who inherits the bookstore from his grandfather. Bookstore isn't doing too great, and he feels like he has to let the store go. However, before having to do so, he is visited by a talking cat who asks for his help in order to save books that have been imprisoned. And, I've just read the first chapter, the first labyrinth that I had to kind of get through. And it's just been really fun. It's kind of been addressing certain things that, are frequent topics in the book community itself. For example, hoarding books, gathering books, treating books just like collector's items and things like that. It has been seemed to be making fun of the idea of, a quota of how many books you need to read in a month in order to be a good reader and things like that. And so it's been addressing certain things that, for a reader, especially for a reader who is actively involved in the bookish community, are just interesting to talk about because, we talk about them quite regularly, or, we see these behaviors quite regularly on BookTube. So it's been a blast so far. So I've been really enjoying that one. It isn't a long one. It's like just over 200 pages. I'm now like 50 pages into it. So I'm gonna get quite some pages into it tonight still. Maybe I can get to like the midway point of this book tonight, and then I won't feel so guilty for picking it up, even though it wasn't on my schedule to pick it up at this point in time. But I just needed something to take my mind off of the depressing nature of Wuthering Heights, because that story is just so depressing and all the characters are loathsome. So I'll talk to you guys more about Wuthering Heights tomorrow, I guess, when I dive back into it. But I just wanted to update you guys on this book right now because, I had some thoughts I wanted to share. Hey guys, so it's the next day, so perhaps it's time for me to talk about Wuthering Heights. So, Wuthering Heights is basically a gothic classic written by Emily Bronte. It is a story about these two characters who are very much drawn to one another, who very much have passion, maybe even love for one another. However, the ambition of one of them kind of drives them apart as she decides to marry somebody else so that, her circumstances can improve and perhaps she can help improve the circumstances of her real love, Heathcliff. And it's very much about their mutual pining for one another and their mutual sort of like destruction of themselves and one another. And it is very bleak, like super bleak. I had to put it down yesterday because it is just so depressing. It is also quite melodramatic, which is kind of, what relieves you from the bleakness, I guess, at time and time is like the way in which they like dramatically storm out of the room, for example, at certain points, or the way that they, have these fits of rage because of things that have happened. So it's definitely an interesting read, and I'm definitely like interested to see where the story goes from here because of what happens around the midway point. I'm not entirely sure. Like, I think I now know what the rest of the story is going to be about, but I originally had completely forgotten about that part of the story. And so the story, the way that I remember it, has already taken place, but I think I know what the second part of this book is going to throw our way. Hey guys, bad hair here clearly, but I watched Shang-Chi yesterday, so I was supposed to go and watch Dune, but we didn't really buy our tickets in advance. We like tried to buy them a couple of hours before the movie, and then it turned out that they were already sold out. I mean, they have to reserve spaces in order to have social distancing in the theater, so of course there's less space available. But so yeah, it already sold out, so we couldn't go to Dune, but so we went to Shang-Chi instead, and I really enjoyed it a whole lot. I was really surprised with the fact that so much of it was in Chinese, which I was really happy about. But then that also, like, I'm never happy enough, I guess, because then that also made me feel like there were certain scenes in which I was like, but why are we using English in this one? Why aren't we continuing in Chinese here? Because, there was this one scene in particular where they're like two kids talking to each other in Chinese, and then like in the middle of that scene there are like two sentences in English, which made me go like, but why? But why? Why are you having them say those two sentences in English? Like, do you think it has a bigger impact on the audience that way or what? But so that was a little bit weird. And like my one other little qualm with it was that I feel like editing wise, there was a little bit of a problem there. I think like the scenes lasted like a little bit too long. I always felt like they lingered, kind of like the flow wasn't natural. Like I would have cut the scene like a couple of seconds earlier. So it wasn't like a huge problem or anything like that, but I often felt like that's an awkward cut. So, but apart from that, I really loved the story. I really loved, all of the references to Chinese culture, all of the ways in which they are talking about the Chinese experience in America and things like that as well. And yeah, I really enjoyed it a whole lot. I really loved seeing Tony Leung. Haven't seen him act in a very long time, and actually it's made me want to like rediscover his works. I saw some of them, you know, I've seen In a Mood for Love, I've seen Lust, Caution, I think, as well. I've seen Hero, of course, and but I haven't seen Chungking Express, which apparently is a really good one, so I think I want to see that movie next as well. It made me want to go back into the wuxia genre, because sometimes I did feel like it was a little bit cheesy to have the Marvel take on the wuxia genre. A couple of takes in which I was like, yeah, okay, you're just like a couple of takes in which I felt like the super slow-mos in the middle of a wuxia scene were kind of like cheesy, but I really enjoyed it overall, I would say. So really loved the humor in it as well. But so today I am going to be diving into a new book. I'm going to be diving into The Emperor's Soul by Brandon Sanderson. And yes, that means I finished Wuthering Heights. When it comes to Wuthering Heights, I would say like I really think it is a masterful story. It is a great story. It definitely deserves to go down into history, to be remembered, to be rediscovered by audiences all the time, because it is a great story and it is masterfully told. But it is also the type of book where I'm like, I appreciate it, but it didn't personally touch me, for example. It didn't really have a big impact on me emotionally, for example, except for being like, this is such a depressing read. Please, people, some joy in your lives, please give it to me. So I will say that as a result of that, it's never going to be an all-time favorite, but I'm always going to appreciate it, and I'm always going to say that, you know, people should check it out. But so with that being said, we're diving into The Emperor's Soul today. This is a novella by Brandon Sanderson. It won the Hugo Award at some point in time. I have already read it. This is going to be a reread for me. It is under 200 pages, so definitely one that you can dive into if you want to explore some of Brandon Sanderson's work. Could you start with The Emperor's Soul? Maybe I need to answer that question after I've reread it. I definitely enjoyed it. It is basically the first work by him that I read after having finished Mistborn, and I definitely enjoyed that a whole lot. I'm just not sure whether it's going to give you enough, you know? So for that reason, I want to save my answer for that until I've reread it. But so yeah, I'm going to be doing a spoiler-filled vlog for this, hopefully. I don't know how much I can fill in a spoiler-filled vlog about this book because of the fact that it is so short, but I'll give it a go in any case. So my hope is to finish this today still, because it is under 200 pages, but I am also going for lunch to my parents, and it is already almost 11 o'clock, so we'll have to see. I was supposed to film a video as well today, but maybe I can do that next weekend, or maybe somewhere this week. We'll see. I don't really feel like filming today. So it's Monday, yuck, hate Mondays, but I finished The Emperor's Soul yesterday and I love it. I've forgotten how much I love this story. I might actually think that it's like the best work Brandon Sanderson has put out, but of course it's like super short, so it's not like he's able to do so much with character building or things like that as he does in Stormlight, for example. But like in and of itself, I think it is such a great whole. It's such a well-developed story, and considering its limited page count, it just does everything perfectly within the limited space. So yeah, really enjoy that a whole lot. I'm now debating like an Emperor's Soul tattoo, but I wouldn't know whether like the soul stamp is like the one art piece that we have for the Emperor's Soul, and in order to get that I would need to see like how big it needs to be for a tattoo artist to be able to do it, because it has quite a lot of detail to it. So I would preferably want it like on the inside of my wrist, but if that, I don't think that that's probably feasible. I think the tattoo needs to be bigger, I'm guessing. But so I don't know, I'll sleep on it for like 2-3 years, I guess, and then who knows, maybe on my next reread of The Emperor's Soul I'll end up doing it. But so today I can finally choose another book to read. I still have The Cat Who Saved Books going on, but I think I will be mainly focusing on The Thousand Autumns of Jacob de Zoet as my read for this week. I'm hoping to finish it by Friday, but in order to do that I need to read about like 100 pages a day, and I don't know, because it's a literary fiction, I don't know whether that's going to be the pace that I'm getting with that book, because Sometimes it works, sometimes my pacing is really down with those types of books. So we'll just have to see when we get later into the day. I just really wanted a distraction from work because the motivation is not there today. Alright guys, time to make some tea. I'm updating my work computer and it's stuck at 59%, so but I am gonna be making myself some tea because I am super tired. And last night, I'm gonna say that I was just super tired, that it isn't the book, but it is also partly the book. I started The Thousand Autumns of Jacob de Zoets, and I'm not going through it very quickly. I think last night I read like 28 pages in it. And in those 28 pages, I fell asleep like 20 times, I guess. But so, yeah, I'm still going to continue on with it for a little bit longer at the very least, because it isn't exceptional for the beginning of a literary fiction work, or like this is more historical, but David Mitchell, I think, is kind of literary fiction. So it isn't exceptional for something like that to just start off a little bit slower. So I'm gonna give it a little bit longer. I will say that like it opens up to a little bit of a gruesome scene because there's like a child who is being born, but he's like breached, and they are like they think the child is dead, and so they're discussing like amputating his arm to get him out. And I was actually eating at that time, and so I was like, sorry, why are we starting the story off like that? Especially since we don't know the significance to the story yet of that particular event or of those people. But so The Thousand Autumns of Jacob de Zoets is taking place in Japan. However, like Japan was a closed empire at that time. Westerners were not allowed into the empire, or foreigners maybe even weren't allowed into the empire. There was just this one harbor, Nagasaki, where Westerners had these sort of like floating islands where they could stay, and then there was this like one bridge that connected it to Japan in order to provide trade. Now, I think what the story, like the only thing that the blurb really talks about is that aspect to it, and then saying that even though there's just one bridge connecting these two islands, that there's still a meeting of minds. That doesn't tell me a whole lot about plot, what the plot is going to be for this book. So we'll just have to see as I get further into it. What is kind of annoying me in this beginning is the references towards the Japanese. You know, they're very much using language that, you know, is very much, you know, insulting. And some of the terms that they use, I would like to look up to see if they're like historic terms of the way that people referred to the Japanese at that point in time. But even then, I'm not sure I really like the inclusion of them. I mean, yes, it is historically accurate in that case, but, you know, it's just there so often that I would think then, like, include it like maybe once or twice, and then for the rest, just refer to them as the Japanese, the locals, whatever you want to call them, but not whatever term that this is, because it seems like it's a coded term in any case. So yeah, I'm gonna be looking that one up at some point as well. But so far, not really getting along very well with it. I will also say that the writing style, while there's nothing wrong with it, it's also not gripping me in any way or shape or form. Like, it's not a fluid writing style, for example. Alright guys, I finished another book. I finished The Cat Who Saved Books yesterday, and I gotta say that unfortunately it didn't fully work for me. Like, it is very much, as I said earlier, kind of like parable style or like fairy tale. It's very simplistic in its rendition of the story. You have basically this quest that he needs to go on, and he goes on 4 different quests. Initially it's supposed to be 3, but there's a final sort of like hidden quest. And in these, he has to overcome the mindset of one particular person who basically is destroying books or keeping books captive in one way or another. And because it is so simplistic and because it is so black and white, it doesn't really allow for a lot of nuance. And as a result, it seems to be condemning things that I, for example, don't condemn, and things that shouldn't be condemned, things that very much align with the sort of elitism that is definitely there when it comes to reading in some circles. So there is, for example, some condemnation of the idea of, you know, sort of like fast fiction, fiction that is there purely sort of like for your entertainment, fiction that is easy, light, that doesn't really have much weight to it. And there's a big condemnation of, you know, publishing those types of works, but also, you know, of consuming those types of works, whereas I feel like there shouldn't be any sort of problem with that. If people read for that, then that is perfectly fine for them. And people who don't read for that will also from time to time maybe want to pick up a book like that just to have a little bit of a change of pace, a little bit of a change of tone to their work. But this book very much dives into the sort of idea that every book needs to be a groundbreaking, earth-shattering read. And, you know, I don't stand by that opinion. Aside from that, it feels to me like it is missing some heart. It felt to me a little bit too much like these sort of like platitudes, or like these sort of generic uplifting messages or generic deep thoughts that you come across so often that, you know, it no longer really feels impactful. In particular, because with this sort of way which this story unfolded, I feel like there isn't much heart going into the story. I feel like I personally at least cannot really latch on to our protagonist. I cannot really make an emotional connection because of the way in which the story is told. I didn't really have that impact. So sadly for me, this one didn't do it. Alright guys, I am giving up on this very sexy angle, but so I'm giving up on, ugh, it's choking me now. I'm giving up on the Thousand Autumns of Jacob. Ow. Alright guys, I'm giving up on this one, the Thousand Lives of Jacob the Zoot, because I just can't do it. I read like 2 pages further or something, but I'm just like constantly wanting to fall asleep. Only like one booktuber that I follow on Goodreads has read this, and she basically said so boring as her sort of review for this book. And while I see, and while there definitely are good reviews for this book as well, I just don't think it is ultimately worth it, considering the fact that I'm struggling with it. And I mean, I'm not even 30 pages in, and I know it could change, but yeah, it's really struggling with the writing style. And so I don't know, this is my first David Mitchell, and I don't know whether I should try more David Mitchell or not. I will say that I haven't really had much of an interest. This is the sort of like only David Mitchell so far that I've had an interest in. So I probably won't be trying out David Mitchell after the failure that this book was. But so part of me is annoyed at stopping it now, because I'm like, but I barely gave it a chance. On the other hand, do I really want to push through this when, you know, I'm struggling with it so much, when, you know, I feel like I cannot focus on it at all. And then when I read, I feel like it's a struggle to even grasp what people are saying. So I think it's probably just best that I lay it down, and that I'll probably won't have missed anything by doing so. Hey guys, it's Friday evening, close to midnight. I've been like lying in my sofa, so my hair is like messed up completely. But this weekend I'm actually going to be doing a sort of like 48-hour readathon, which is the Winterathon. This is an event that Sasha will be hosting multiple times throughout the years for her Patreons, and so I joined her Patreon when she launched it earlier this month, and so I will be participating in that, and so I will have a separate vlog for that one. And so you will be seeing that one closely after this one, probably the one after this one, but I'm not entirely sure of that, but I do think so, that was my plan. But so yeah, that was the first half of my month, which has gone by very quickly, but also I feel like I've been reading quite a lot in those 2 weeks, like a little over 2 weeks. I feel like the reading game has been strong for the first half, though I haven't always loved the books that I have picked up, but I overall still feel very happy about the pace at which I'm going through books at this point in time, because I kind of needed that boost for my Zero TBR project. But so, in any case, enough of rambling for this long outro at this point in time. I'm gonna be ending the vlog here. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and see you guys for the next one. Bye!